Mr. Huston, how do you see the character of Bond?
Well, he's derived indirectly, may I say, from the other James Bond films. This is, our James Bond is Sir James Bond, who has been in retirement since the First World War, when he was forced to bring the only woman in his life back across the Spanish frontier to be stood up before a French firing squad. That was Mata Hari. And so he withdrew from the scene, went into retirement after his role in the Mata Hari tragedy, and has been there ever since until we snatch him out.
Well, now, this is very far, obviously, then, from the Fleming Bond. In fact, the whole thing...
Oh, he has a very dim view of the James Bond as portrayed in the preceding James Bond films. He thinks that James Bond OO7 is a vulgarian, wretched, pretentious young man who leaves a trail of dead women like blown roses behind him. He has no use for that Bond.
Well, how do you...
disclaims him.
Well, that seems fair enough. How do you then feel about the character of M, which you play yourself?
Well, he's an absurd figure, as everyone else in our film is absurd.
Well, now, why is it that, in fact, that there is not just one James Bond, but there are, what, 4 or 5 or 6 of them?
Well, with the crop of James Bond films that have been shot, that are coming out, we thought to roll with the punch and not go that one step further and not simply be reduced to one James Bond, but as there already are 2 or 3 in the offing, why to go whole hog and have at least a half dozen or a dozen. The excuse for that in the film is that in this way they separate the forces of the enemy. James Bond being their chief antagonist, why, if we have a dozen James Bonds, they don't know which way to turn.
And why is it then that you've got, I think is it 4 or 5 directors taking the film from stage to stage?
Well, it's an episodic film in the sense that a new crop of actors are with in each sequence, so that it can be divided. I'm simply doing the prologue to the film, as it were.
Well, whose hand will one eventually see on this? The hand of Huston, or the hand of Bob Parrish, or the hand of John McGrath?
A number of hands. A number of hands.
Well, why come to Ireland to shoot these particular sequences?
Well, in the first place, I live in Ireland and I love to come home, but that's of secondary importance. We found a better Scottish castle here in Ireland than anything we could discover in Scotland, and that was the primary reason. The moors here, the bogs stand in very well as grouse moors, and Ireland had as much to offer as the location as Scotland.
We've got everything then except the grouse, perhaps, Mr. Huston.
We're a bit shy on grouse, yes.
How do you propose to overcome this problem?
Well, there have been various suggestions put forward, everything from crows to Rhode Island reds. But I hope that we can deflect the audience's attention from the fowls to our other little birds, 11 of which redheads.
Indeed, rather attractive. Is this film really as frantic as one has read about it? For instance, is the script being written from day to day and changed from day to day?
There's been a bit of some rewriting on the set. Yes, I wrote a good part of this first sequence, and I indulge myself, make spontaneous changes. But I don't think the atmosphere certainly has not been frantic. It's been a lark.
Well, have the actors sort of felt that they don't know from morning till morning or shot to shot what their particular scenes are?
Not my actors. They haven't. No, we've all had a wonderful time making this film.
Now, you're taking part in this film. You've also recently played in the film which you've just finished, The Bible. I think you played Noah. Does this mean that you are going now to play a part in every film which you direct?
Certainly not, no. I'm only reduced to playing parts in films when I can't get anybody else that's any better to do it.
You've also, I gather, been offered from time to time parts on the stage and in other people's films. How seriously do you consider these offers?
Not at all seriously, not the least bit. I only play a part when I'm dragging the bottom of the barrel when I play a part in a film. I tried to get Charlie Chaplin to play Noah. He wouldn't.
I gather that sometime during this particular sequence you're going to film in Ardmore Studios.
Well, not in the studio, but we're using Ardmore as the base.
It's been suggested from time to time, Mr. Huston, that you, among others, Peter O'Toole, Kevin McClory, have been interested in buying Ardmore Studios. Is there any truth in this at all?
Well, it's the subject's been under discussion, but it never got beyond the talking stage. And my chief interest is rather in the future of Irish film productions. In a few months' time, I hope to have an announcement to make in that respect.
Will this include or exclude Ardmore?
Well, naturally include Ardmore.
Mr. Huston, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.